Is this a vet school or a security room? Come along with me as we dive into the future of veterinary education, from touring the facilities, hearing from the Dean, Dr. Heather Bacon herself, and exploring how we can create more inclusive workplaces in veterinary medicine.
Hey guys, so I'm really doing a vlog of University of Central Lancashire. It is so exciting to be here. I have Heather and Alice who are so kindly. Do you want to say hi to the camera?
Dr. Heather Bacon, the Dean of the UCLan Vet School, is a veterinary surgeon that wears many hats. She has contributed heavily to research in important areas such as animal welfare, exotic animal medicine, education, has received many awards for her work internationally, including a senior fellowship and an OBE from Her Majesty the Queen for services to veterinary education and animal welfare. I've admired her for a while now. Standing in front of her and being able to speak to her was a surreal moment for me.
So now we are in the clinical suite, is that what it is?
Yes, this is our clinical skills area. So this space is part of the development of our new school, and we only started using it around Easter time of this year, around springtime. So we're really excited for our next cohort to come in and for our returning students to come back and really get the benefits of improving their clinical skills in this brilliant area that we've created.
Amazing.
So we're super excited to have launched our veterinary degree last year. We have a great team here of vets, vet nurses, veterinary physiotherapists and animal scientists who are all super passionate about delivering really innovative, dynamic, engaging education for our veterinary and animal science students. And we are aware that there are lots of challenges in the profession at the moment. It can sometimes feel a bit bleak, and it is, it's tricky. It's a tricky time to be a vet. But what we're really keen to do is to try and equip the next generation of vets with the skills and experiences that they need to help them navigate that difficult landscape. And hopefully, succeed as professionals and continue to succeed and sustain themselves in the profession.
I've just been blown away when they took us on this tour that I will take you on shortly. But before that, another thing about UCLan. So what makes it really different in terms of when you're picking your students and, nurturing the culture in this vet school, basically?
So we have a real focus on inclusivity. Our buildings have been designed to what we call universal design, and that means we have accessibility for people with disabilities built in, so for wheelchair users, for people with various types of accommodations. We have considered that in our design process. We've consulted with great groups like Affinity Futures and BVEDS to ensure that we are being as inclusive as possible in the design of our buildings, in our curriculum, and in our student support services as well. We're also really keen on authentic learning, and that's why we've got such an investment in clinical skills, but also in digital technology, which doesn't replace your authentic animal handling experience. We do loads of that, but it does support you to be able to revise, study, really embed and retain that knowledge in using a whole range of sort of interesting, exciting revision tools and educational support tools. And we also think it's really important that our students have that authentic workplace-based experience as well. So our first year students go out into practice for 2 weeks as part of the curriculum. We're really excited this evening to have a whole host of our partner practices here with us. They've just had an afternoon of great CPD from Affinity Futures, and they, again, are super enthusiastic about supporting the next generation of veterinary surgeons, and it's just really lovely to be part of that community.
Yes, I just love the energy in the room. Everyone is so encouraging and supportive, and the Affinity Futures CPD was also super useful that I'll share a little bit later. But the last question is, one message that you would say to potential students looking to apply to this vet school. They're feeling a bit, hesitant maybe, or discouraged if they, don't have role models in the area. What would you say to them?
Oh, I could say so many things. I would say if you're thinking about being a vet, have a good think about it. I speak to lots of prospective vet students, and sometimes they think they want to be a vet because they're great at science, they love animals, and every adult in their life has told them that they ought to be a vet when they grow up. And maybe you do really want to be a vet, but also being a vet can be challenging, it can be tough, the hours are long, it's a financially difficult course. So I know it sounds really negative. I'm not trying to be negative at all, but you know, being a vet is a fantastic career and I've absolutely loved every minute of it. But I think as educators, we have a responsibility to be realistic about, you know, it is a long course and there will be ups and downs and bumps along that road. So make sure that you pick a university that you feel at home in, that you feel part of, that you feel welcomed into. Visit a lot of different vet schools, talk to different people, and choose the schools that you feel align with your own values, your interests and your skills. Spend time engaging with the academic team, the teaching team, looking at how you'll learn over the next 5 years, because it's an awfully long time to live somewhere. So yeah, keep all of those things in mind and do your research, and you can absolutely you know, have access to fantastic education at any of the vet schools that you are lucky enough to get to, and hopefully a long and rewarding career as a veterinary surgeon.
Amazing. There's so much wisdom in that message. Thank you so much, Heather. So that's it for now, and we'll take you on a tour.
Communication suite, and this means we can run different scenarios. We have a whole range of mock consultation rooms that can be viewed from here. Yeah, run a whole range of different clinical scenarios with actors and review student performance, and they can review their own performance.
Examples of the consult room.
Yeah, so this is an observation room. So the consult room, each consult room is paired with an observation room with a client, an actor, and the rest of their group would sit in the room next door and watch their performance on that video monitor.
Oh wow.
And they can record it and play it back, and they all take turns doing that, so they all sort of get that peer feedback and learn from each other.
Perfect.
Okay, that's it. Is that Wait, what? Very cool.
I'll just zoom in on this one before. So these are the models. You can raise the jugular and take the blood samples. What's this one? You're happy to be in the video? There you go, guys. That's the tour completed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. As mentioned, the day included some CPD, so some learning and workshops by Affinity Futures around the theme of inclusivity. If you haven't heard of Affinity Futures, they do so much good work about increasing diversity and accessibility in the veterinary profession. So really quickly, these are 5 takeaways that I've learned through this workshop. It included some lectures and practical exercises, which was a bit of an emotional part because they tackle things like battling microaggressions and speaking up about racism, which can be, you know, quite emotional topics, but very important, although they are uncomfortable topics. So it is thought that 95% of our thought processes are very fast and intuitive, so also referred to as System 1 thinking, and that how we build our intuition and how we make decisions is based on how we were brought up, our experiences, societal, cultural, and media influences, and only 5% are deliberate, slow thinking processes that we have, that we think rationally, logically when we make decisions, so System 2 thinking. So basically, the whole point of it is that 95% of the time we may not even be aware that we are making judgments about a person or making decisions by using shortcuts in our brains so that it's fast, intuitive, gets the job done. So it's very important to take a step back and actually check our personal biases. So a practical tip is to use the bias check tools such as the Harvard Implicit Association test. Second, impact of microaggressions. So microaggressions are small, often unintentional, but they are like mosquito bites where they can be like very small but also hurtful or irritating basically. Obviously, tone, context and phrasing also matters, what was said in the situation and how it can come across. In some situations, it may be thought of as like a joke, but the other person found it offensive. So even some examples like, wow, you're doing really well for a new grad. Depending on the context and how it was delivered, it could come across as you are not giving like a genuine praise and just belittling their achievements, basically. Third is building a high trust environment. Obviously, as you know, veterinary medicine can be very stressful, things are very fast-paced, and sometimes when we're trying to get things done, we can be unintentionally abrupt, and that can come across as rude to another person. And it is in these moments that communication is very important, to be clear, to make sure that the patient gets the best outcome and the best level of care. So creating a high trust environment means that you make your colleagues feel very comfortable, that they can voice out any concerns they have. For example, if you have a patient on an IV line drip that is critical, that needs monitoring, and they don't think the temperature is right, but if you feel as a new grad you don't feel confident voicing it out to the senior vets or the nurses because of, I don't know, you may think that they were rude to you earlier that morning or things like that, and then you don't tell them about your concern, that can be very dangerous for patients. So creating a very high trust environment by making sure everyone's on the same team is important. A useful quote I found was, if we make mistakes, we are not bad humans, we are just humans. So on that note, having debrief sessions and open feedback cultures is very important to create a safe culture so everyone learns from each other's mistakes and there's no such thing as a blame culture. We don't want that. We want everyone to learn from each other. Speaking about the effectiveness of communication, this is very important when it comes to handling difficult conversations, which comes to my fourth point about active allyship and handling difficult conversations. Having a difficult conversation now will make things easier for the future, rather than if you just hide your feelings or bury your concerns and unhappiness, that will bubble up inside you and make you more difficult to work with your colleagues if you keep harboring that sort of like resentment. So it's important to have difficult conversations to build like strong teams. A very good quote is, avoiding hard conversations lead to dysfunction. A quote by Peter Bromberg. So this also links to the earlier point about like handling microaggressions and uncomfortable conversations. If it's by your client, your colleagues, anyone in the team, there are some useful stock phrases to calling it out. So subtle ones, if you're a conflict avoidant person like me and you don't like having these conversations, would be just to pause and be silent to let the other person know that you're not on board with what they have just said. If you find that a bit sort of like dodgy, you know, a bit inappropriate, you can just be like, what do you mean by that? Or excuse me? Or just like a simple huh? And also looking to your other colleagues, if there are other people in the team, just to give them like a look to say that, you know, I don't think that was appropriate, just as like a signal to them as well. And also knowing that there's nothing wrong pointing out that you're uncomfortable, because your feelings are valid, and you can keep things professional as well, saying things like, I don't think this conversation is suitable for the workplace, and then just walking away. Keep things professional. Lastly, very important point that as a very privileged person that I don't think about often enough is to think beyond our own experiences. This stresses the importance of accessibility. It really matters for students and staff if they have any hidden disabilities or special needs. It is not enough just to ask them if they need anything. We must also think about, you know, do they feel comfortable disclosing their needs? Do they feel comfortable letting other people know, or only just their mentor or the clinical tutor if the student is in for a placement? We have to be mindful and also need to include them in a conversation. For example, if a placement student comes in to the break room, you know, find ways to make them feel involved and make them feel included, because personally, as a vet student previously, you know, it can be quite daunting and intimidating to want to gel into a group, and that can be more stressful if you have other special access needs as well. So a useful example they pointed out was that if a student comes in and, you know, you brief them about the facilities, the tour of your practice, you can also just mention casually that we have quiet rooms should you need some space away from consults after, you know, watching a stressful procedure for a long time and you need a little break. So here are the quiet rooms where you can, you know, have a little breathing space, and also you can grab as many chairs as you need when you're viewing procedures. I think it's really interesting and also really silly not to have that into consideration, because it's a tiring job. You're on your feet all day. If you're a student, you're probably studying at night, in the morning before you come in for the clinics as well. So why wouldn't you just have chairs readily available for them to sit and watch procedures? Like, you know, why wouldn't you? So yes, thinking beyond our own lived experiences and to be more inclusive to other groups of people, and just being more mindful of what they are going through. And yeah, then we can create a very lovely, positive and inclusive workplace, especially in veterinary medicine. When the job is already hard, you don't need your workplace to be hard. So I think those 5 takeaways were very useful for me. So yes, thank you for coming along with me on this journey. It was a very spontaneous video to make. It was filmed last summer, and I really am grateful for all the opportunities to be able to attend the workshop, meet other vets and practices as well in the area, and also meet the dean herself. And one more thing to mention, so if you're interested about UCLan Vet School, the So You Want to Be a Vet podcast, which is hosted by myself and Verity, we had a whole series of students from UCLan speaking about their experiences, how they got into the vet school, what sort of experience they came from, their backgrounds, and quite a number of them were mature graduate students coming into vet degree as a second degree. So I highly recommend checking that out. It's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're also on Instagram and also have a YouTube channel, so check that out. And I really hope that this will inspire you to have a look at UCLan Vet School, look at Affinity Futures, all the good work that they've done, and have a lovely rest of your week. Take care now. See you in the next one.